What's up, YouTube? Niwa here. Another Battlerites, and Loadouts. Today we're going to go over Pestilus. This
I
guy.
will annihilate anyone who gets
Alright,
in
let's go over
my
the
way.
Battlerites first, and then we'll look at some different loadouts you can do. So first we got Overlord. You move 7% faster for each nearby enemy or ally affected by moss. Stacks up to 3 times. This is a really, really good Battlerite. Basically, you have 21% move speed, where Pestilus is already kind of like a fat, slow character. So having 20% increased move speed, like just being able to walk out of stuff is really nice for Pestilus. I would honestly say this is like a must pick for me. It's really easy to have 3 moss up between having like the swarm shield on your queen. There's different rights you can pick to get more moths out. Obviously your R, and then just M1ing people. Really good right. Next, we have Blood Leecher. When landing Bloodsucker on an ally, you take no damage. So you right-click your teammate. Usually it does 30 healing and 15 damage to yourself. With this Battlerite, it does 0 damage. I mean, it could be good. The thing is when you're M2ing your ally, right, that means they're taking pressure, they're taking damage. Which means that usually you're not taking damage, right? So the problem with the M2 mechanic is, like, let's say that you're getting trained on, or you're taking damage and you throw an M2 out, you're just like increasing the amount of max HP that happens to you. So this doesn't really counteract that. This is just kind of, usually if your ally needs healing, they're going to be taking the damage, therefore you're probably safe, and any that 15 damage that you take, you can just heal up pretty much instantly anyways. I don't really like it. Colony. Landing Bloodsucker on a queen or target affected by moth, cause it to spread to nearby enemies. So if you have your M1 applies moth, so there's a bunch of other things, but you M1 your teammate, you right click them, and then any enemy target close to them, moss will spread. So one just little thing is that the spreading of moss actually procs counters. So that's not something I actually really think about when I'm doing it, but it can be abused. So this is just another way to easily, get the Overlord 21% as well. It's pretty good. I would say that I feel like Pestilus has a lot of good rights, so I don't think this right is good enough to overtake the builds that I like to run. But I can see some value in certain matchups, especially if you're playing against triple ranged, um, somewhere where it's hard for you to get into M1 range. Like, this is really good then, because you can still get the moth, and that slow moth dot damage on the back line without having to risk your positioning, right? So, some matchups. Insectivore. When Bloodsucker hits a target affected by moth, it deals 6 bonus damage to enemies and heals 6 bonus health to allies. This just makes your right click, your M2 stronger. In both instances, that is 36 damage or 36 healing, I think. So the healing is like, I mean, obviously it's good, but just having like a 30 health bomb on your M2 to begin with is like enough, right? So, and then also doing like the 36 damage to enemies is really good. So the caveat of the little conditional is you need to have moth on the enemy. So sometimes you'll just want to M2 the enemy to follow up with damage. You don't have the moth, so you won't get value. I think it's okay. But again, I think it doesn't get enough consistent value where it would overtake like other builds or other rights that I like to take. We have Defiler. Infest lasts half a second longer, drains 10 health from enemies, and heals allies for 10 health. I think it's okay, but I don't think... usually don't space into your teammates for healing. You space into your teammates for... what's it called? For the damage reduction, right? So I think this last bit is just kind of bonus. What you're really going for is making your infest last longer, so that you're safer for longer. But I think you can accomplish kind of the same thing that wants to do with, you know, your double infest, your scourge. So Defiler is okay, but I don't think I'd ever take it. Scourge allows you to infest an additional target. This means that you can infest your teammate, then go into the enemy, or go into both your teammates, go into your queen, go into your orb. You know, you have so many different, what's it called? Options, right? So with double infest, it also allows you to like position yourself like really far across the map. You know, you're well, first of all, infest is kind of hard to hit, so you do need to be good at hitting your infest, especially out of like out of your teammates or enemies, because missing your infest is a big opportunity for the teammates or your enemies to punish. So what I like to do to make it a little bit easier is I'll put my queen down, right? And then if my teammate is going to take damage, like in a huge burst, a huge ult, a snipe, anything like that, I'll space into them real quick to give them that damage reduction. And then I'll just space into my queen because I know my queen's not moving, right? It's really easy to hit because it's not moving at all. Same thing with the mid orb. Both those things they're not moving, so it's really easy to like abuse the, I don't even think it's abuse, it's just playing smart, you know, getting that guaranteed infest. Next, we have Spores. Infest reduces damage and healing output of an enemy by 50%, increases damage and healing output of an ally. Increases the damage and healing output of an ally by 25%. I think this right can be good. It's too situational for me. It's way too situational. Most of the time, you need your infest as well, first of all, you need it as an escape, right? But you also need it as like a damage reduction. It's another defensive cooldown, right, for your teammates. So if I'm just gonna space in my teammates just to get the increased damage and healing, then I'm not gonna have it up maybe, you know, 5 seconds later when they need it for that burst that's coming in, right? And then especially if I'm infesting into an enemy, right? It's the same type of logic. So there's definitely scenarios where like you're safe, the enemy maybe is overextending, you infest in them, or you infest in your ally, and all of a sudden he's doing like insane damage. But I don't think there's consistent value, which is a big thing in this game. I wouldn't pick a Battlerite just for like a one-off situation, you know. Broodmother, Queen Panic duration increases by 0.6 seconds. Your queen explodes. Now your CC's longer. It's pretty good. Your base queen has a panic attached to it, but the panic duration isn't that long. It's more like an interrupt, right? So getting this Battlerite makes it an actual like CC. It moves them far away. It's annoying. So I could see getting Broodmother in certain matchups where people are tunneling you, or where you can get that Broodmother panic off easily. I don't know. I haven't really, I guess, experiment too much with his Battlerites. So I feel like Broodmother definitely has a place in a build. But saying that, you can only have 2 Battlerites of the same skill, so oofed. He has a lot of Queen Battlerites. Hivemind, Queen cooldown is reduced by 1 second, and recasting the Queen commands it to fly towards target location. I honestly have the most fun playing Pestilus, and I think that Hivemind is one of the reasons why. Obviously, just having the cooldown reduction by 1 second is really good, right? That makes it a really good right to take. But being able to recast the Queen, there's just so many little things that you can do with the recast. That's annoying to play against, but it's just like fun to do. Like, if you're taking pressure, you space into your queen, and then you just take it for a nice taxi ride across the map. You want to put pressure into the enemy backline. Obviously, you drop the queen to heal, right? You and your teammate. And then it's about to explode. You get additional value if you just recast it towards the backline, right? You get a little interrupt, a little kind of disrupt the backline or disrupt the positioning of the enemy. I don't know, I just think there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. I like it. Sacrifice. Queen slows the nearby enemy's movement speed by 20% and deals 8 bonus damage when it explodes. Seems like a good right. I just never take it. I just think there's better queen rights. Like, it's hard to take sacrifice when I have Hivemind, right? Because I like that playstyle. I like the CDR, and I like Swarm Queen a lot. So it's like, it's not just judging the value of sacrifice, it's judging the value of sacrifice against Swarm Queen, right? Or against Hivemind. So I think it can be good, and it's obviously you're gonna get value out of the slow. And then damage is conditional value. You know, you're not necessarily gonna get that explode value a lot. But I think with Swarm Queen, I think you just gotta take it instead of sacrifice. Anyways, Swarm Queen. Queen spawns with the Swarm Shield that absorbs up to 28 damage and lasts 1.2 seconds. So this makes your Queen tanky, at least initially, because I think the shield eventually disappears. But there's just so many things you can do with your Queen when you have Swarm Queen. Let's say a Rook is charging at you, you can throw your Q in front of it, stop his charge, and if you have Hivemind, you bring the Queen back to you to get the heal, right? So it stops the charge. You got the, I'm sure the Swarm Shield broke, and that way you got a Moth, right? You get your Moth spread for that, and then you bring it back for the heal, right? Or if you don't even bring it back for the heal, you bring it back for the threat of it popping, right? For the panic or the damage if he gets close. So there's a lot of matchup specific things you can do with Swarm Queen. And it's just good for surviving. Like, you want your Queen to survive, right? You want it to be on the field, and you want to be inside of it as long as possible for the heals. Really good, right? Egg Carrier Arachnophobia bounces forward, causing another impact. The radius of the second impact increased by 15%. Another right that I really like. Just the bouncing and the delay between the bounces has a lot of uses. I don't know how consistent you're going to get the second bounce to hit on a backline, right? There's obviously like little cool things you can do with it in certain scenarios, but it's not going to happen that much. But the best thing I like it for is if there is a melee on top of you, or you're being pressured, you just throw it on top of yourself, right? And it bounces once, so they have to either back off a little bit or they commit a CD to it to avoid it. And then, you know, there's like half a second or whatever before the second one bounces, and then they have to do the same thing, right? So they have to be extremely aware of how they're dodging your E, because if they get panicked, that's exactly what you want to happen. You want to get rid of the pressure, and that's what your E does. And so having it bounce twice just makes it so there's more timing, or makes the timing harder for the enemy. I really like it. And then sometimes you get lucky and you can, you know, get super clean, like double panic bounces, like if you're at range, which is always fun. Sparkling Venom. Arachnophobia deals 8 damage on impact, and panic duration increases by half a second. I think it's pretty good. I have the most fun playing Pestilus. I think a lot of his rights are pretty good, and I just think the playstyle is really fun. So Spiraling Venom doesn't change up his playstyle, which is always a plus in my book. I don't want a right to like dictate my playstyle or put conditionals on what I'm supposed to do. You know, I guess if a right is way strong, then it's okay, but most of the time, it's never that simple. So this just gives you that 8 extra damage and then increases your panic. And this panic duration is sick. Like, the 8 damage is okay, but it's whatever. But the half-second panic duration makes Pestilus really annoying, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Lord of the Flies. Scarab deals 4 bonus damage or healing on impact and inflicts a fading blind that reduces enemy sight range by 90%. So this was, well, this was like a really good pick in the old system, but I just think there's better rights. First of all, it's really hard. I guess maybe not hard, but there's so many conditionals to getting your ultimate off, right? And sometimes, a lot of the times, you want to just ult your teammate for that healing. It's easier to hit your teammates as well. You know, if your teammate has the scarab on him, he can go in because he's getting like insane healing, right? I just don't see that much value in the blind. I think it's that kind of that snowball momentum thing again, right? Where I've already hit my ultimate, so they're already in loads of trouble because they took that initial damage and they're taking that really hard hitting dot, and so the blind is kind of just overkill, I think, right? Okay, well those are Pestilus's Battlerites. Fun stuff. Let's go over a loadout. Okay, for his loadout, I mean I always go Overlord. In this game, I just think that move speed is king. I think the more move speed you have, the easier it is to dodge abilities, which means that you're no longer trading CDs to dodge abilities, right? You're not trading your space for a Jade Snipe, you know, you're not trading Snipe for like an older Q, right? You can just kind of WASD out of it. So he's down a cooldown and you still have all your cooldowns because you just outplayed with your movement, which is always sick. And that's what the 21% does. So I don't see any matchups where I wouldn't take this. So sick. Next, let's go what I would just pick in like most cookie cutter matchups. I would pick Hivemind and would I? Swarm Queen. For me at this point, it's not even about being optimal. I think this just is the most fun playstyle for me playing Pestilus. And even let's say it's not optimal and it's inefficient, it's not that big of a margin where I'm gonna care too much, you know? So I'm gonna go Hivemind with Swarm Queen. You know, just the ability to mind game, just the little micro things you can do with the Hive or the Queen, and then the Swarm Queen for the shield, protection, etc. And then after that, it's kind of up to you. What you like to do. So I'll just do what I like to do. I like to do Egg Carrier with the bounce for reasons stated before. And then I like Double Infest. And this is definitely just what I like to do. I don't know if it's optimal. I think there's definitely times when you don't get value out of the Double Infest, but I like it. I think it allows you to do riskier infest plays, I guess, right? It allows you to mess up a little bit on your infest. So let's say I want to like infest my teammate who's about to get Baka ulted, and I infest like something else. Like at that point, my teammate's dead, right? But if I have double infest, I get another chance, right? I can infest my teammate right before it's about to hit, supposedly. I like the movement, being able to move across the map if you hit your infests. I think it's good. I like it. But you could also go Colony if you wanted to. Swap it out for Colony if you don't like it. You could go Insectivore. You know, with these two ones, you just want to make sure that you're hitting your M2. If you're trying to get value, you're hitting your M2 on moth targets. That's how you get value. So I think these are two perfectly viable. I think if you don't go double infests, I think you could go Defiler just for the half-second increase without worrying too much. And let's try another build. if you don't like the moving queen, or if that's not your shtick, you can take the queen panic duration, right? Or the bonus. I mean, I would just, my second build, I guess, would just be taking the queen panic, and then let's see, where is it? This panic, right? So it's more like a CC, trying to chain your panics, be super annoying. I think this one works really well too. If you catch someone and your queen explodes, obviously a little harder because you can't move it. They get the base panic plus 0.6, and then you chain it with your E. And if you hit like the perfect timing or the perfect angle, the second bounce is gonna get him too. So it's like you can get like an insane CC chain off if you practice and you get the right angle, which is pretty cool. So I suggest that you try both of them out. Pest is a really fun character, definitely viable. He relies on hitting your M2 though. So if your teammates are dodging you a lot, like, or you're trying to hit like a hasted Taya, you could run into some issues, especially if you're picking these M2 right. So you stack value on your M2 and you can't hit your M2, it's going to be a bad time. So I suggest you guys just try both of those out, try the builds out. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun with them. Oops. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. This was a Pestilus, Battlerite, and Loadouts. I'll see you guys later. Bye.